But because of COVID, we had to learn, what is the system? What is the script? What do we say? How do we negotiate? How do we confirm rehab? How do we confirm pictures? How do we understand really what's going on with this home?
Hello, welcome to the Closing Table. My name is Scott Snofke, a Senior Direct Marketing Coach here at REIPrintMail. Our customers are constantly asking if there's a secret script or a talk track to follow in order to close more deals. The truth is there isn't. However, we work with some of the biggest names inside of the real estate investing industry. So make sure you subscribe to our channel because I'm sitting down with some of the biggest closers I know. Let's get started and you can know what to say to close more deals. So without further ado, here's Justin Colby. He's done 2,700 flips over the last 15 years, or 17 years he's inside of the industry, but he's already paved the way with the Science of Flipping, one of the most beautiful podcasts out there. I listen to it regularly to get all kinds of knowledge. So in this quick conversation, we're going to step from the point of first contact with a new potential seller of what and how Justin breaks it down to find out and analyze if it's a deal, how he builds rapport in the conversation, and then how he moves out of the conversation to later use as a lead. So without further ado, the one, the only Justin Colby. How you doing today, sir?
Good, brother. Thank you for having me. Let's rock and roll.
What is that conversation like, and what is your first thought process to do with this potential seller?
The first thing I want to make sure I'm understanding is the motivation of the seller. Where does that stand? The second thing is the potential of the property, okay? A lot of people have that in reverse. They're caring more about the property and not as much about the motivation of the seller. Because I want to know how quickly I can get this done. That's part of my negotiations, right? Is to be able to speed up the ability to get a deal here. So I'm really inquiring more about them, their scenario, their circumstances. Why are we on this phone call right now than I am about the home? Secondarily will be the home. What type of condition or what type of neighborhood is the home? How long have they lived there? You know, how many neighbors are landlords versus owner-occupied neighbors? Understanding what does that neighborhood actually look like? Not the economics of it, but you know, the changing times. There's a lot more renters than there are owner-occupied homeowners. So is it a good rental? Is it good to fix and flip, things of that nature? Those are going to be secondary to why are we having a conversation? Where are you going to move? Why are you going to move? What does it mean to you to move? What's the most important part of selling your home? These are just all questions I have laid out. They don't all come back to back. It just depends on where the seller takes the conversation. Lastly, as part of answering this question is, I want to take my time. I don't want to rush through this. This isn't a speed race. I want to make sure I'm understanding the motives of the seller and their circumstances. The business is a timing and circumstances business, right? I call it an event-based business. Most of the time, we are just waiting for the event to happen for us to get on the phone with the seller, or the seller to call us, or vice versa. So as long as we can understand we need to be patient and take our time, it gives us a better shot at actually getting the deal done.
Gotcha. You want to get into where they're at, you know, whether it's a financial issue, whether it's end of life issue, whether it's anything out there that's causing them to want to sell their property. You want to get it first. Do you do anything special to build rapport with them? Do you work on your dialect, your conversation? Do you work off of a script, or is it something that you've just naturally come to?
The secret of rapport, in my opinion, and there's literally whole books built around like salesmanship, rapport, negotiating, all this kind of stuff, right? The secret to me is actually just listening. Ask the question and then listen. And if you do that accurately enough, you'll start to build rapport, because you'll be able to do something called empathize or sympathize, right? So if you ask a right question why someone's moving and they say, oh, well, because I want to go be next to my grandkids because I'm retired and I'm not doing much, so I want to see my grandkids more. Well, someone like myself that has 2 children, I can very easily hear something like that and chime in with, man, I wish my family would move closer to us. We barely get the kids to see them. They never get to spend time with their Good for you to be able to actually move closer to the grandkids. It's so special. I was raised by my grandmother, and I'll tell you, grandparents are the greatest. Now I'm connecting to them. I'm not talking anything about the house, about them selling. I'm connecting them on a personal level because I listened. I asked the question and then I listened. And I don't think many people do that very well. God gave us 2 ears and a mouth for a reason. And for one reason or another, most people just use their mouth and not their ears. And so the rapport for us is that. Now, in terms of a script, we have a pretty good script on terms of what questions to ask. However, if you've been in the game long enough, you know that like conversations start to just go, they veer off, right? So the script is there to keep you somewhat on track, but it's not there to be, said word for word, right? We don't want a robot. We want someone, again, to your point, who does actually build rapport and helps the seller understand the value that we play in this transaction for them, right? One way or another, right? And so if we can do that, then there's a set point of like, I think essentially it's a 2-page script, but really it's kind of 2 pages of questions. And if they say this, then this can be an answer or two. But one of the things that we really rely on is indifference. So part of our script, if you will, would say, hey, Scott, I'm not totally certain our group's going to be interested in buying your home. I hope it is, but that is why we're actually on the phone. Is there's a couple like no-fly zones. We don't buy that type of home or in that location or whatever. So we just got to figure that kind of stuff out. In fact, it's not even my job to give you an offer, Scott. I just need to kind of build out the file. So if you don't mind, ask you a couple questions. I can bring that to my underwriter and we can figure out where, if we are going to make an offer, where we would be. But either way, we'll let you know one way or another. Now I'm going to pause because I want everyone to understand what I did there is I removed the responsibility of me to give Scott an offer. A lot of sellers are going to say, what's your offer? What's your offer? What's your offer? What's your offer? I'm not going to tell you what I'm willing to sell for until you give me an offer, right? They're going to do stuff like that. So I'm going to say, listen, it's not even actually my job. That's not my responsibility. So I got to get a file put together with the proper information, give it to the underwriter, let the underwriter give me a number, and then I can come back to you. But I can't even give you a number at the moment in time. And from that, you're indifferent. You're not the trigger man. You're not the guy able to do it. So they start to lower their walls again, because when people are indifferent, the other person on the side of the conversation leans into it. They're wondering, why is he indifferent? What's going on there? Like, wait, now I'm intrigued. Like, why don't they just want to give me an offer? Why don't they just want to buy my home? Hold on. And so I layer in a lot of indifference and then remove the responsibility. So I almost play like a bad cop, good cop with my underwriter. My underwriter's the bad cop, right? To officially give us the offer number.
So let me ask you this, and this is one of my favorites. Have you ever said, let me go ask somebody, walked outside, watched Netflix, came in 5 minutes later and never called anybody?
Yeah. Well, never called anybody? Is that what you said?
Yeah, you never reached out.
There's never really a call.
Right.
Yeah, there's never really a call. You just put them on mute.
Yeah.
I don't know, go talk to your friends, look at Instagram. And now you should be probably analyzing the deal if you're at that point in the conversation, right? You should actually know the number, know where you're going to be at. But yeah, there's never a true underwriter that we're calling.
With that, do you prefer to be there belly to belly inside of the house where you can get a good look at it and inside of their comfort zone? Or do you prefer over the phone where you're not wasting the time house to house? Where's your thought process with the phone close to the belly to belly close?
I think at scale, you got to go phone, right? There's just no way to scale, in my opinion, if you're going belly to belly to every single one of them. Like, even if you're local and staying in your own local market where you live, you can't scale a business if you have to go belly to belly. So at scale, you have to go to the phone. That being said, if someone said, what's better, over the phone or belly to belly, then I would tell someone belly to belly. But you can only go so far. I have a lot of students in my science flipping community. Some are in Los Angeles or San Francisco or Chicago or Miami. I'll tell you, like, don't run this business in those markets. They're some of the toughest markets there are in the industry. So you want to go virtual anyways. So you want to go into markets like Oklahoma City or, wherever, Birmingham, Alabama. So you have to go with the phone. What COVID did for us is made us learn how to do that. I used to be a coach who would say belly to belly all day, go belly to belly. But because of COVID, we had to learn, what is the system? What is the script? What do we say? How do we negotiate? How do we confirm rehab? How do we confirm pictures? How do we understand really what's going on with this home? And I have done that. I've been able to put together a process to do that. So I'm all virtual. My entire business is virtual, right? We're buying anywhere from 2 to 5 homes a week, all virtually. I bought 3 apartments already this year, about to buy a 4th. It's all virtual.
I mean, just the absolute growth of what you can do and where you were 10 years ago to where you are today. It's the path is phenomenal. And that's why I want to bring people to this forefront and bring you to them, is they can get into, the science of flipping. They can follow you at The Real Justin Colby at Instagram, right?
The Justin Colby.
I knew I had that wrong. And then they can follow you on the podcast. One of the things that I talk to my students about is record themselves. When they're doing conversations, oftentimes the voice that's inside of our head is not the voice that we portray. Whether they're sitting up and they're doing various things. Do you coach specifically on phone conversations?
Yeah, so part of my coaching, there's like 8 calls a week in coaching, and one of the days is really about that, is how to have the conversation, how to negotiate, what to say. But, I think anyone, when starting anything, gets a little nervous, right? So to your point, whether you do it in the mirror, whether you do it recording, you record yourself and kind of give yourself fake examples, or record yourself on a real call you're doing. I tell everyone, go call for sale by owners on Zillow. Those are free leads. You didn't pay for the lead. Go cut your teeth and learn on something like that. Until you feel comfortable, it just takes repetition. You say something enough, you're no longer nervous about it. You just said it already. So the more reps you got, the more shots on goal you got, the better you're going to do.
Right. I want everybody to take a few minutes, go follow Justin Colby, and you're going to be able to reach out to him. He posts a ton of content. You can learn for free. You can reach out to him directly and he will respond. I've done it. That's how I got started on some of the questions I've had. That's how I met him. So in doing that, go find him, find and follow, like podcast, The Science of Flipping. It's number 2 on the Apple Podcast right now. Without further ado, thank you for your time today. I really appreciate you jumping on, helping some of our students navigate through the traffic, the call and the close and various things of that nature.
My pleasure.
All right, I appreciate it.